All right. Welcome to Let's Talk About Prophecy. Let's talk about prophecy. Let's talk about prophecy. Let's talk about prophecy. I'm your host, Dr. Kifa Ben Israel. I am a professor of divinity, chief apostle by trade, archbishop in our Lord's church. So I'm more than excited than to talk about prophecy and talk about things that pertain to prophecy. But I'm just really excited. I'm just getting myself basically back up into the world of knowing and into the world of now, as I like to call it. And last night I did my master class of prophecy. Usually I charge for my master class of prophecy. I don't think a lot of people understand that what goes into the makeup of educating spiritually or just educating period. But nevertheless, last night I was speaking on the end time measure. I was actually getting ready to go into Revelations, the first chapter through the third chapter, and talk about the seven churches of Asia Minor, a topic that some people like to talk about and some people don't like to talk about because they're misinformed when it comes down to this particular topic. So we were getting ready to teach it last night. We were getting ready to teach it. And then as I always do, as some people know, which you if you don't know, being that I am an educator, we started going into the origin of certain things. And so that led us to the book of Enoch, chapter number 8, actually chapter number 7, and then chapter number 8, which talks about the fallen angels and the things that the fallen angels taught mankind, which were not supposed to be taught. And one of those things, quote, from Enoch chapter number 8, verse number 1. I'm going to go there because if you got content with it, then you'll understand the discussion that we had. The content in Enoch chapter number 8, verse number 1. It says, moreover, Azazel, this is a fallen angel, one of the chief fallen angels. Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, stones of every valuable select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world would become altered. We couldn't get past that verse because when it talks about all sorts of paint, we're talking about makeup, dyes. We could be talking about the usage of certain drugs. And when I say drugs, I'm talking about the abuse of drugs because all drugs are not used or were not created for the abuse of certain things. Okay. But we didn't get past that because we were talking about the origin of women and makeup. But of course, we know in this world, in this society that we live in today, there are other people that wear makeup. You have men that wear makeup now, heaven forbid, whether it's for a television camera or whether it is for minimal personal use or pleasure or whatever the case may be. We have spotted right here in Enoch in the book of Enoch, in chapter number 8, verse number 1, that Azazel, who was one of the chief demons or chief fallen angels, whichever way you want to word or classify that, he taught mankind a lot of stuff that they were not supposed to know. Now, in other interpretations and in biblical, whatever you want to put it, you have the beautifying of God's creation. That's what they call it, the beautifying of God's creation. Okay, but makeup was never intended for the human consumption. Never. You have to understand that in Enoch chapter 7 and in chapter 8, we are talking about the formation of not only things that were taught to humans, but the things that the fallen angels, now we call demons, deemed so to alter and restructure the formation of the creation of God. Because you have to remember, man was created in the image of Yah, of God, the Elohim. Man was created in his image. So those that were cast out of heaven with Hillel, because in the modern publication they like to say Lucifer, but his actual name in heaven as an archangel of music was Hillel. That was the name that he lost, Hillel. And in that, he tried the angels. They were cast out with him. They were determined to cause a ruckus on earth because mankind was and is created in the image of the Creator. So, paint. Wow. We got into that discussion last night. And a discussion that needs to be talked about because it is my assumption, recollection, and biblical, spiritual opinion. You can get through all that. That what the devil meant for bad, I'm speaking of what the fallen angels immediately tried to corrupt man with, God turned it around for good. So what was not supposed to be in the hands of man, because of the extremities with it, and I'm talking about makeup, God turned it around for good. And now, just like alcohol and many other things that if you take too much of it in extremities, it can be bad. So can makeup. In extremities, makeup on a woman or a man can be very bad. Very bad. But given the unextremities of the spirit, God can turn it around for good. So by no means am I saying that a woman cannot or should not wear makeup. It is not my place to tell you not what to wear or what not to wear because I'm not your husband. Okay? That's a whole nother topic all by itself that deserves a show all by itself. But there are extremities in the world of entertainment, even in the church world. One of the things that we discussed last night or that we got into real heavy was about, the way the church perceives things. I'm getting a little bit tired of the church perception. I don't know about you, but the church has been telling us some wrong stuff for a long time. They've been telling us that it's okay to do this, it's okay to do that, and it's not even biblically sound or based on the scriptures because if you look in the scriptures, there are certain things that are condemned. And here it is in Enoch chapter number 8. We didn't even have to go that far. In verse number 1, it talks about the paint. Talks about it. Why does it talk about it? Because of the extremities. Because of the extremities. And 9 times out of 10, when you get people that want to paint themselves or paint themselves to the extreme of overexertion, it has a lot to do with low self-esteem. I'm not going to be on here long, but I just wanted to get in here and touch bases with you as far as what we talked about last night at the masterclass of prophecy and really explain the extremities of it. Because by no means am I personally saying that women should not wear makeup. I know I'm going to be a monster after a while when people watch this video and they're going to say, oh, the man of God doesn't believe in women wearing makeup. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I have nothing to do with you individually wearing whatever it is that you wear. The only thing I like to say is that we need to do everything decent and in order, and we need to do it with propriety, with pride, and with distinction. There are some tremendous women of God out there that I personally know that wear makeup, and they are highly anointed women, regardless of what their outer appearance may or may not say. Can it be a distraction? Sometimes. It definitely can be a distraction. Is it something that we should focus our attention on? Well, if you're not mature, of course not. But that's, there's not a lot of people out there that are walking in maturity in the spirit. A lot of people are still caught up in the appearance of things, and they haven't gotten past that. So, what do we do? Now, you guys are not going to do what I suggest you to do, but I'm just telling you from the extremity of experience. We do not, and we shouldn't present things that are distracting to people. If we know that that somebody's going to get caught in a fall, how much more willing are we in the spiritual realm to sacrifice our normal operations so that people won't fall, so that they can hear the glorious news of the Basara, of the gospel? How much more are we willing to do that? Okay. I can tell you right now, in the Christian church, there's not a lot of collaboration or cooperation in this area because a lot of people don't see anything wrong with the way they look or with the way they do. And I'm happy for you if that's your argument. I'm happy for you if that's your argument. But you got to think about the next person to you or beside you or so on like that. Now, what does that have to do with prophecy? It has everything to do with current day prophecy because you have to understand now that we know the origin of it because it came from the disobedience and the purposeful destruction of the image of mankind. So that in itself altered the natural affection of man and his purpose. It altered it. So it made it now where that one distraction, paint on, makeup, may or may not cause a person to fall in the kingdom because of the perception that it leaves one with. Help me, somebody. We got to start being intelligent about this thing and stop being ignorant and ghetto fabulous in our thinking. We've got to think about what pleases God. Not only what pleases God, but what pleases those that follow God. What they are used to and what they are not used to, as far as their pure perception of you as a person. We got to start thinking about that. That's we got to become unselfish in our spiritual outlook of everything. If we're trying to get a message across to people, we have got to look at how that message looks to the people. Hello, somebody. Got to look at it. 2 Timothy. Excuse me, not 2 Timothy. 1 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, verses 9 and 10. It says that women that profess godliness should not be uh perceived by what they look like on the outside. I'm paraphrasing. Should not be perceived for what they look like on the outside, but for what is inwardly in them. They should wear modest apparel. I totally agree with that. Doesn't matter whether I agree or not, it's written in the book. But I just so happen to agree with that. Because modest apparel does not mean wearing grandma clothes. Modest apparel does not mean to be covered up, if you will. I know a lot of people like to put that analogy out there, but that's not what that's saying. What it's saying is that you should not look a way that is very provocative and embarrass your standpoint in a godly way. Oh, I'm going to get some emails about this, what I'm saying. But we are dealing with a world that has carelessness when it comes down to the female agenda. Carelessness, tremendous carelessness. I mean, women are looked upon as objects, and we, as the brothers in the body of Messiah, we should be standing up for our sisters, and we should be letting our sisters know that if they are provocative and to an extremity, we should let them know that that's not cool. Or we should compliment them when they're beautiful. We should compliment them when they're beautiful and when they are uh, the representation of the Lamb. I'm all for that. Compliments are something that is good. Now, in this society we live in today, this cancel culture thing that we got going on, you can compliment somebody and they can take it absolutely the wrong way and stretch it so far and so vast that it will really be misunderstood, misconstrued. So we got to be careful how we say things to people. Even when you compliment a man now, we got to be really, really cognizant of the way we compliment or we say things to people, because people will and can take things in an extremity way too far. And that in itself is not a godly character. So we have to take in consideration all people. If you don't agree with the LGBTQ plus society, fine. Don't comment about it, because everyone is a human being that we're speaking to, unless we're talking to our pets or animals and so on like that. And everyone deserves the respect of being respected. Doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything, because you don't. And in your home and in your space, you have the right to set down whatever rules and whatever standards that you want to set. You have that right no matter what. But you do not have the right to infringe on other people in and make people feel uncomfortable just because you don't like what they do or who they are. Same thing goes with a woman in makeup. Um, you're not my woman, so I have no opinion. But I am going to be tactful if you ask me, how do you look? I'm going to be very tactful on that part. Not going to put myself in a world of trouble. I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm going to tell you in a very righteous way. Some people say, "Well, how righteous is it? How many righteous ways is it to explain something?" It's a whole lot of righteous ways to explain stuff. Whole lot of righteous ways, and some of y'all need to learn some tact. Some of y'all just tacky. Very tacky with the way that you handle the way that you deal with people. It's nothing. You know what? I am not a proponent of traditionalism. Never have been, and I never will be. But I am a proponent of decency. I think that we've gotten outrageous out here. I mean, to the point where people are just the bottom of the barrel, y'all. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I that's the way I feel. People are the bottom of the barrel. They just look any old kind of way. Don't care how they look, why they look, or nothing. They don't care. That's when it gets bad. That's when it gets bad. When you don't care. Now, culture has a lot to do with that because there are many different cultures and many different cultures do many different things. So before we can judge or before we can say a certain thing as to a woman or a man looking a certain way, we need to learn what they know or what they believe in, what their culture is before we start judging people. Now, I got anybody out there that agrees or disagrees with what I'm saying? Y'all agree? Oh my God. What are you willing to sacrifice to get your message out, your perception of message, and your totality of message to the next person? Got to think about that. Got to think about that. To all my sisters out there in the gospel that are preaching a spiritual message, Christian, whatever it is that y'all putting out there, because y'all love putting name tags on stuff. Just make sure that when you do it in decency and in order. And to all my brothers that are out there, there's a presentation that you must keep up. You know, we've got to understand that the way we keep our bodies is really important. Again, another topic for another show. But it's good to talk about it in its totality because we need to be cognate of our presentation. Now, I'm not saying overboard and go to an extremity because some of y'all way too much. I know some men that stay in the bathroom a whole hour, 2 hours, getting preppy and pretty to walk out the door, let alone go in front of people. Now, I just think that is just outrageous. I'm almost tempted to sway and call you ma'am, okay? Because that's just outrageous in my opinion. But some people don't think that's outrageous. It's the perception of each person in their extremity. And if we have intelligent conversation about this, it wouldn't be debates. Y'all better hear what I'm saying. If we have intelligent conversation about this type of thing, there wouldn't be debates. We're debating because a lot of people are feeling guilty of their extremity. There's some people that are extreme in their measure with this thing, but you got to look at the origin. Prophetically, the fallen angels, the demons, if you will, taught man this stuff because they knew man did not have the knowledge to know what to do with it. So it's taken every bit of 6,000, 10,000 years for us to learn modifications. It's taken us every bit of that time to learn how to handle the things that the fallen angels taught us that they were not supposed to teach us because they knew that we were not equipped to learn how to deal with it. Bottom line, it's taken us that long to understand it. And then the result of it is we got people running away from the faith and from the word of Yah. Got people running away from it, not running to it, but running away from it. Why? Because of the extremity and the excessiveness of those things. Whew, boy, I'm trying to tell you. I told you I'm not going to be on here long. Not going to be on here long. I'm just on here long enough to talk about that because it was brought up in my master class of prophecy. And normally I don't even let conversations like that linger into the class, but it was a very interesting conversation. And I don't know. People may have got offended, maybe may not. I don't know if they did, if they didn't. But I just know that if we treat it as such, it will be taken as such. We can't go into extremities and expect people to understand extremities without explanation. Makeup was a forbidden thing. It was not something that the Most High Yah wanted us to know about. But because it is here, it's taken us all these thousands of years to modify it and to use what the devil meant for bad and turn it into good and use it in a positive. Can I get a witness out there? Use it into a positive. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. We are competing with society and the world. We're competing with society and the world and their perception of what was originally locked away. Chapter number 8 in the book of Enoch is a very interesting chapter. I'm going to be doing a lot of teachings into that in my future programs to give you guys the real outlook into this stuff so that you can understand it to its totality. But the makeup part, when you get to verse number 1, man, you really can't get past that because you're like asking 8 million questions about the makeup part. Is the makeup that way? Is that the way it should be? I mean, you have to make that decision from your own spirit. And if that is what your spirit man is telling you to do, fine. If not, you know, don't make another brother or sister fall. Bottom line. We gotta take in considerations our brothers and sisters out here that are walking in the faith and what makes them strong and what doesn't make them strong. What gives them the totality of strength opposed to what doesn't give them totality of strength. Enoch chapter number 8, verse number 1 is a very interesting subject matter that can take us way into conversation. And that's all I wanted to get you guys out there. I'm Dr. Kiefer Ben Israel, professor of divinity, chief apostle, archbishop in our Lord's church. And I want to thank y'all for the time that you are giving me to listen to me on whatever platform you're listening to me on. We do have a master class of prophecy. Contact me at Dr. Dr. Keefa, Kepha, Ben, Ben, Israel, Israel, the number 77 at Comcast.net. And I will be glad to get you in our classes so that you can learn some history about prophecy and all the different things that prophecy brings about. But in the meantime, we do these 30-minute programs or more to help you, to encourage you, to give you a word of encouragement, to get you going for your day, to get you started in everything that you do. I'm Dr. Keefa Ben Israel signing off, loving you for life, and I'm saying everything is all right. Peace.